Hey everybody, welcome back to Tampa Touring. I want to do a quick review on Wilbers Suspension setup, front and rear, on my 2022 Road Glide Limited. Let's cut to the intro. Alright, let's preface this to start out with. I paid full price for this suspension setup. Wilbers is not sponsoring this. Wilbers didn't give me the parts, they didn't give me any discount, nothing like that. I'm just doing what my personal thoughts are on the review of the front and rear suspension setup on this bike. Actual mileage may vary. Void where prohibited, text titled, otherwise licensed, offer not valid in Alaska or Hawaii. This is my opinion. You can put your comments down below what you think the suspension setup is on your bike, how you like it. So I did a little soul searching and wanted to get rid of this front end dive that is so prevalent and terrible on touring models. If you ride a touring models, Road Glide, Street Glide, Special, whatever, you know that if you got to get on the binders hard, it'll dive. I wanted to get rid of that. Okay. Now, I put the rears on, rode it for about a week or so with the rears before I did the fronts. I personally, and I'll caveat this, I didn't put them in myself in the fronts. I had warranty work done on the chrome lowers. They had to replace those under warranty. So the shop was going to have the whole thing apart anyways. So I said, here, put them in. Forks are coming out. I don't have to pull the forks and do all that myself. Not a hard job if you've ever done it. As long as you have a fork seal driver, you're good. All right, I got one for the smaller forks and one for the 49 millimeter forks. Wouldn't have been a problem doing it myself. I've done them before. So why did I go Wilbers? Well, it was a hard decision. If you've ever ridden Legend suspension, you know it's a great ride. It gives you great comfort going down the road, handles well on bumps and everything else. If you've ever ridden Öhlins, most people usually just do rear shocks and don't do the front, but if you've ever ridden Öhlins, Öhlins is a very performance-oriented shock, right? You watch King of the Baggers, they're all running Öhlins suspension. There's a reason for that, because it cuts into the corners hard and it handles really, really well. Personal opinion on the Wilbur setup is it gives you the comfort of the Legends and the performance of the Öhlins in one package. Now, when you order from them, you have to give them some information. Obviously, the bike that you're running, whether it's a street glide, road glide, whether it's a limited, there's a reason for that, and it's based on weight and everything. So you also have to provide how much the rider weighs with gear. You have to tell them how much luggage or stuff you carry in your saddlebags, your tour pack, stuff like that. How often you ride two up. Now, I don't ride two up anymore, even though I have a limited. I don't ride two up, so wife's got her own street glide now, so she rides her own bike. And you got to be honest with it. The reason for that is these are not off the shelf, just delivered, right? They put the springs on there based on the information you provide them. And since they're a German company, it's in kilograms. So you got to do a little conversion. Go grab a website, do the conversion. And be honest about it, because they're setting that spring up based on the information you provide them. Now, if that changes for some reason, if you're 300 pounds and you lose 50, 60 pounds, drop weight, call them up, tell them what you've changed, what the weight changes are, and you can get a new set of springs from them. And they're not hard to change out. They're threaded. You just pop them off, pull the springs, put the new springs on, reset your sag height and everything, right? So the only thing you need to do is really put them on and set your sag height on the rears. And for them, they give it to you in centimeters. Okay. Do a quick conversion. It's like 0.8 inches on the sag, which is about 3/4 of an inch, give or take, right? Set that up and you're good. Now, I will give you my honest opinion on this setup. It's phenomenal. This thing handles corners way better than stock suspension ever could. But why did I go with the Wilbers as opposed to Legends or Öhlins? Good question. One, I hate to say this, it was cheaper. It was cheaper by $500, $600, $700, which is, you know, significant. That was probably one of the bigger drivers, but, you know, a lot of folks have done install videos and analysis of what their opinions are on the Wilbur setup. Most of them have been sponsored by Wilbur. This is not sponsored by Wilbur. Like I said before, I paid full price for this. But if I thought it was junk, I would tell you it was junk. I'm really, really happy with this suspension setup. Their springs on the front, they call them their zero friction springs, and oh my god, they obviously tumble them because they are slick, they're smooth, there's no roughness in them like a stock spring would be. Their fork oil isn't like your traditional Harley-Davidson fork oil, you know. It's a straight 20 weight. You look at it in the bottle and it's like, you know, this stuff's awfully thin, so you start pouring it out and it's not thin anymore. It gets rid of they give you a new spacer. That spacer replaces the stock plasticky one that's in there now. It doesn't change the valves, so like if you do an Olin's or a Legend drop-in, it's a full cartridge drop-in. So it's just pull all your guts out and throw this thing in and you're good to go. This uses the stock valving, and I will tell you that even with stock valving, it handles really, really well with just a spring change. And it's not difficult. If you're going to just put front springs in, you pull, depending on the model you have, but you pull your forks out, clean them all out. You don't have to take them apart. You don't have to get a new seal kit and everything else. You pull your caps off, drain them, get all that fluid, the old fluid flushed out, and oh my god, old fork oil stinks. Terrible. Drop the springs in, and the spacer, and go. Now, keep in mind too that their springs, you know, you got the tighter coils, they actually go reverse of what Harley-Davidson puts them in, so they actually go in opposite direction you would normally put a Harley spring in. But it's phenomenal. I highly recommend it. Comment below what suspension you've set up. I will tell you that railroad tracks, I was coming back yesterday from Orlando, railroad tracks on Dover, it just ate them up. Running cross town in Tampa, there's a section downtown as you're heading eastbound that I call the whoop-de-doos, and it's the concrete on that bridge is just, it's wavy. This just smooths it straight out. Absolutely phenomenal. Highly recommend it. Again, it was a personal choice. And comments and feedback, since this is so, it's not just me. So since this was done as a warranty job, right? They put the springs in and stuff because they were changing, like I said, they were changing up the chrome lowers because they were actually bubbling. The head tech, the master tech that did this job, when he took it out for the test ride afterwards, just fell in love with the setup. He's like, it's unbelievably tight in corners. There's no, you get sometimes phenomenal. So here's somebody who's ridden thousands and thousands of bikes with different configurations, and he's in love with this. The service manager, actually he's got a Dyna. He's been toying with redoing his suspension, and I said, hey, you got it, go take it out, tell me what you think. And he fell in love with it as well. He's like, he's kind of the best of both worlds in here on performance and smoothness. Highly recommend Wilbers. Again, not being paid to do this, my personal opinions. With that, ride fast, take chances. See ya!